So Tolstoy Story 2, it is the best one as far as I'm concerned. What do
That's the
you
general that's the general sentiment, I think.
what do you know about it?
Um, Not a whole lot. I mentioned in the Toy Story 1 thing that I had seen, parts of that movie, but wasn't sure which parts were from Toy Story 2. I now think I have not seen any of Toy Story 2. I'm pretty sure all the stuff I saw was just from the first movie. Um, Specifically like the part where they're stuck at the gas station. Um, what I do know, and I actually only learned this part very recently, I know that the sheriff is like a new character and he like seems nice but is actually the villain. That I just had not heard about until only like a couple of years ago, I think.
Okay.
I think this is probably where Jessie gets introduced. Um, is that her name, the cowgirl?
Yep.
And so I got up the movie on a totally legit service, and I saw a thumbnail featuring like several characters, and I noticed Emperor Zurg in the background, who it's only just occurred to me did not appear in the first movie, I don't think, or at least.
Right. He was name dropped as part of Buzz's
Mhm.
backstory, but
I had seen him before because I know the character. I've seen like the merch. I think I had like a Buzz Lightyear video game as a kid that I like didn't work properly. I didn't actually mention that. I think it was a tie-in for Toy Story 2. It was not the Toy Story 2 game. It was specifically a Buzz Lightyear game.
huh.
um, but anyway,
I'm not overly
beyond
familiar
that,
with most licensed games, so I don't know what that would be. I know there was a Buzz Lightyear TV show. I don't know if there was a game based off of that though.
maybe it was based on a TV show then. That would make sense. Um, So I think the plot of this movie starts with like a garage sale where Woody and Buzz accidentally get like, you know, accidentally end up in the lot and they get bought by like a collector guy, I think. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know how the sheriff comes into it, and I don't know uh what the resolution of the movie is or like where it goes from there. Based on just
Okay.
that, it almost kind of sounds very derivative. So I have to imagine there's more to it. But it kind of just sounds like, oh, Woody and Buzz are just trapped somewhere again. They gotta get out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You've got some details correct and some not. I'll, just
Oh,
let the
okay.
movie play out and then you'll see what happens. Um,
Okay.
there's attributes of it that you didn't know at all, and then I kind of alluded to last time, so we'll get to see those. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it's Toy Story 1 does a good job at establishing just the idea of the world of toys, and you get to know the main characters and stuff, and this just kind of pushes it a bit further. Um, it's you know the first one, it's like the whole adventure is basically they have to get out of the house next door. It's like it's a
Mm.
very small adventure. This one kind of goes like further than that.
Well, they
Um,
do they do go to like the
to the
gas
Pizza
station and the
Planet.
Pizza Planet. It's like
Yeah.
a very roundabout thing. It's kind of a coincidence that they end up back at Sid's place, but
Yep.
yeah.
Um, as far as there's no point in me saying why it's my favorite since we haven't seen it. I'll get into that later. I will say I'm not actually sure if that's the consensus. It definitely is for Shrek
I know
2,
I know it's
but
either 2 or 3 that people like most, but
yeah,
I think it's my impression that people like 3, but it's always with like an asterisk where they're like, okay, but there's some like negative aspects to it, and people just like 2. Like 2 is just solid.
I swear I've heard of some people like very decidedly disliking number 2, and I don't really know why. This is like it does have a handful of moments of crude humor, but it's mostly in the outtakes.
Yeah, it's a kids movie.
Yeah. And I don't know. I like I feel like it's just kind of a solid story. 3 is that one's not coming up for a long time. I
Right.
always felt like that one. Um, it has this. I feel like it has a pacing
It has this.
problem where like
Okay.
the beginning feels like it drags on for a really long time, where basically not much is happening, and they're kind of covering the same point over and over. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna have this big elaborate escape sequence, and then we're moving on to like the final act, right? Oh shit, movie's over. Like it just
Okay.
It is still a good movie. It has very the dramatic moments are very good in that one.
I
But
know that it's like a
um,
notorious tearjerker.
yeah,
I think I actually know the
um,
most about three out of all the movies, come to
but
think of it, which
that's
is
a whole other
strange.
discussion. So I guess we'll just get into this unless you have anything else to say about it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I said something and I think it didn't go through because you just like talked over me. It wasn't much. I was just saying I think I know the most about three out of any of the movies for some reason.
Okay.
Did that not come through the first time?
No, it did.
Oh, weird. Maybe Discord did something weird then and just like played your audio at a weird time. I don't know.
Maybe I talked over you and didn't realize it. I don't know. Now I got to record the whole intro again. Um.
Yep.
Yep.
I
But
do feel like this is probably the shortest intro we've had so far, which is strange. I don't have anything
yeah,
else to say though.
I mean, there's a couple other things I could say. Like, this was Bugs Life was 98. I don't remember if this was 2000 or
This is
90.
99
It was 99. Okay.
according to the website
Um,
I'm looking at.
this was I think this might have, I don't know if this was the tail end or if this was kind of in the middle of like, Disney's like ridiculous number of shitty straight to VHS sequels happening.
Mm.
And so I think I heard that this movie was supposed to just be kind of a low budget follow up, like a cash grab, and like they
Okay.
should have put all their effort into like their next movie, but then they believed in the project enough to want to like fully commit to a theatrical release, and so it's good
And
they
is the
did that.
next one Monsters Inc?
Yep.
Okay.
Um. Other than that, yeah, it's like I don't think I have that much of a personal story with this one. I barely did with the first movie, other than it's just, it was a movie from my childhood. This one also was, but it was a few years later, and I was, you know, at this point, I guess in '99, I would have been 11. So it's like,
Almost, yeah.
it's, no, it was, yeah. I'm trying to think, because, like, you kind of have your stupid kid mode, and then you have your like I'm too cool for anything that is, for babies mode, and then you grow out of that and start, being fine with kid stuff again. I don't think I was in the too cool for school mode yet, but I don't
I
really
don't think I
know.
ever had that phase.
Oh. Yeah, that's my, Gen 3 Pokemon phase where it's just like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
okay. It took me a long time to realize that actually it's for stupid gay babies, but now I realize it.
I think by the
Um,
time I would have hit that phase, I was aware of it as like a trope. It was like, oh, every kid has the phase where they grow up and they think all this kid stuff is lame, and they get into like, because people had like older brothers and stuff. So you could kind of see the pipeline ahead of you, right? And so I think
I
I was
feel like
savvy
it's
enough.
powerless to stop it, but I mean, I guess
I,
maybe
w-
you could.
I was savvy enough to just be like, nah, I like this stuff. I like Crash Bandicoot and you know stuff like that. And yeah, nothing really changed. I mean, I developed new interests, but I never started outright thinking that the stuff I was into before was lame.
So I'm trying to think. Last time I made the, stupid. The word you're searching for is Space Ranger joke. That one came in naturally. I was like hoping that I could find a way to like sneak in a quote from this movie because I do know this one pretty much like the back of my hand also, but I don't really have much. All I'll say is lousy try, Brian. I guess I don't know, but
Okay. So yeah, see you after the cut, I guess.
okay. So how about the cult?
um, yeah, okay. I was gonna just not bring it up, but I remembered after we did our preamble, like during the movie, at one point I'm like, oh yeah, I see where this is going. I forgot this part. Um, I'll just say what I said to Josh that, I swear I remember hearing somebody talk more specifically about Stinky Pete and specifically that like the whole setup he had going was like kind of culty. And I was kind of getting those vibes towards the start of it where they're like, oh, you finally came, we've been waiting
Yeah,
for
it's
you,
like the prodigal son has returned.
that was even after I said my bit, but yeah. And then you were like, no, basically not really. Um, I don't know. It was it wasn't quite like that, but I mean, Sticky Pete was at least manipulative. Probably that's what was said, and I just remembered it slightly wrong. But yeah, fun movie.
Is that the thing you say every time, or
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, I'm gonna give my hot take here, unless you want to say your bit first.
Go ahead.
Um, definitely a good movie. I'm not lying about that. I think it's weaker than the first one.
Oh, okay.
It's just unfocused. Like I don't know. I feel like it's weird. I don't know how I would have done it, but you know, the really like with a sequel, you kind of want to expand on the themes of the original and add something new to the mix. Add a new point to the conversation, and kind of they had this stuff about toys and the importance of toys to kids in the first one, and in this one they kind of hammer that home, but they also bring in this thing with toys that have been damaged, toys that have been hurt, and how this isn't going to last forever, kind of looking into the ephemerality of that. And that stuff was all really strong. I like the stuff with Woody and Pete and Jesse. Well, mostly Woody and Jesse. That stuff was all really great. And then I felt like that was 40 minutes of the movie, and the remaining hour was like, here's some hijinks with the Buzz Lightyear clone and Zurg and Barbie and the pile up on the street, and it was like not really relevant to the rest of it. It was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, I just feel like the first movie was a little tighter, and I wonder if perhaps you told me a little bit about some of the production stuff with the movie being like kind of bad at first, like with Woody being like kind of unlikable, and they had to like rework the script majorly. And I wonder if some of that pressure contributed to it, whereas with this one, maybe, yeah, I mean, also sequels just have kind of an inherent, I don't want to say
They have something
I don't
to
wanna say
live up
weakness,
to.
but yeah, they have something to live up to. And this one definitely went a bit flashier with like it went to more locations, the human characters looked more detailed, there was a lot more just characters in general that were included.
Yeah, there was a pretty big graphical touch up, I think, compared to the first movie.
I
Not
I
even
just
just with the human characters, but like with the backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't want to hop on the point too much, but I just feel like the first one kind of was tighter, like a more cohesive
I
film,
mean,
and
I
this one
think
was
that's
kind of
fair.
like half a film of really great stuff, and then just some like okay kind of fillery kids action,
There was a
kids
lot of
movie action stuff.
hijinks.
Yeah,
Part of like, and the thing is, I like both sides of it. I like the fact that it does expand more on Woody as a character and getting into those themes and stuff, and I like learning about Woody's Roundup. Um, the stuff with Buzz and the gang is very pointless most of
yeah.
the time. Like, I'm trying to think in terms
I
of
like the
like,
part where they introduced like they reintroduced the stupid aliens like 20 minutes before the end of the movie, and they were in like 5 scenes and kept showing up and being like
you
relevant
have
as if
saved
they
our
were like a
lives.
recurring joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, as if they were like a recurring joke throughout the movie, but they only showed up like right at the end. It was really
Well, yeah,
weird.
that's the thing is they show up and then they insist upon themselves like 5 times in a row just to drive in them being annoying. It's a
Yeah.
new running gag. But I'm trying to think like in terms of like Buzz and Crew's contribution to the movie. It's like it's the B plot, and they
Mhm.
don't really do much because like Woody kind of goes through his whole
They
character
it's
development.
just them traveling to find Woody, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Like they don't really go
Um.
through any kind of
No,
parallel
and
arc or like
and the thing is,
exploration or ideas.
I'm fine with that because I feel like there were a lot of good gags.
The gags were good,
I
yeah. I like that.
it's I'm
Here's
trying.
another thing about it being a sequel, though, is like the first movie already did like a lot of the obvious kind of toy-based humor, and this one, a lot of the hits had already been played, so they had to
Yeah,
come up with new stuff. I feel like there wasn't as much. It was a lot more general, just funny stuff.
yeah. I feel like the movie had a pretty good sense of comedic timing.
Sure, yeah.
But
So it's by no means bad. I just think,
right. I'm trying to think like what to say about the B team because Rex is like such a fucking pointless part of this movie.
Yeah, he
Eh,
had like a C plot with the whole like video game thing.
yeah, and it's really weird because, this is completely unrelated to anything that he did in the first movie. He didn't really have much of a character in the first
I mean,
movie.
he was
Like,
cowardly.
yeah, he's and kind of just whiny, and that's basically it.
Hmm.
Like, oh, now I have guilt. Oh, I love that line. But it's like he's the gamer now, and it just leads into this really fucking weird payoff with the Zerg toy that
Yeah.
serves as a minor antagonist for like 5 minutes. And it's like, we didn't need that, but I don't think it hurts. I think it's just a stupid little thing to have fun with for a little bit, and then it just kind of moves
Yeah.
past it. Like
I
that.
will say, I I laughed when I realized this that this movie has quite a bit of its runtime dedicated to this like, oh no, Buzz versus Buzz, there's two Buzz toys thing going on. And I know that the third movie has another Buzz, but it's like a Spanish Buzz and that's the joke.
Do
And
you want me
I've
to
read
explain anything
no,
about
we
that?
can get to it. But I know that I don't know anything about the fourth movie really. I know that the premise of the fifth movie is that they're gonna have to like go up against an army of Buzz toys or something. So I'm
Well,
like, why
that's
do they keep coming back to this well of like,
I haven't heard of that.
other buzzes? That's why I read on Wikipedia
Hmm.
the other day when I was like just reading about the series um a little
I
bit.
don't know what the hell the point of the fifth movie is. The fourth one was already kind of unnecessary. I feel like I
I've heard,
liked it better than a lot of people did. I've only seen it once
yeah.
though. I would still definitely classify it as unnecessary, and like people kind of hate it for some of the character stuff, and I can't even really argue with it. But it's like, let it die. I don't know what the fuck the fifth movie is supposed to do. Like, I saw the thing where it's like, oh no, iPad kids. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
something about electronics.
just stop. But yeah, yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, it's refreshing in the first half of the movie that, like, Buzz has completely outgrown his Space Ranger
Yeah.
persona. He's like, he's developed this bond with Woody. He's, there's the whole thing where he's just like, Woody did everything he could to save me. I have to repay the favor. And it's like,
Mhm.
then they
That
just, it's,
was compelling.
yeah, I like that they, he had character development. And then it's just like, here's another Buzz who's like the one from the first movie. He's super annoying. It's like, oh,
No, I was actually about to say
like,
it's not too bad because it kind of it shows you the sharp contrast if
yeah.
if you hadn't seen the movie earlier. And I think probably it does. They could have done a better job at showing this. Where I mean, Buzz has that one line where he's like, "Geez, was like, there's no way I was that deluded, right?" I feel like there could have maybe been a bit more focus of him being like maybe having some doubts, and then he sees the other Buzz, and he's like, "Whoa, I've come a long way because of Woody, and Woody's really means a lot to me because we've been through all this stuff." And that could have, I don't know, that would have maybe tied in the B plot into the A plot a little more strongly. Um,
Maybe.
yeah.
Um,
Here I am being an armchair script doctor. I should probably curb that habit.
what else is there to say about this one? I mean, it's like, we could kind of just go scene by scene. I'm not going to do that, but I like. I'm going to keep talking about the uselessness of the B group. Like, I like Ham's just role as just the wisecracker who does nothing. Like, he doesn't really contribute anything at all. He's just kind of there being a smartass,
Yeah.
and I kind of don't mind
Mr.
that. It's
Potato
like,
Head is the Grouch,
yeah,
and
it's like just the scene at the end where they're driving the Pizza Planet car, and he's just looking at the manual for the car, and he's like, "I seriously doubt he's getting this kind of mileage." Like, what the hell is this joke? Like,
I didn't really get what he meant by that, but
yeah, he's just kind of there.
was he saying? Because I don't know cars. Like mileage is how far the car has driven, right? So is he
Well,
saying
it's
like,
it's
oh,
how much it's how
this
much you
manual
can
failure
get
will
out
be
of
able
a
to?
gallon of gas,
Okay.
basically. Like,
Oh, okay, I see. So he's saying this car is shittier than the manual is making it out to be. Okay.
maybe, which, why does he know this?
I don't know.
There's also the part at the beginning where he's just like, flicking through the channels at like one per frame. And just, like, is this just this ability he has? Like, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
Speaking of which, there's some weird shit in that scene.
Hmm.
I learned about this way back in the day, before the internet got homogenized and there was just pointless little sites for like movie trivia and stuff. I read through a lot of stuff on those and learned about going frame by frame during that section. I don't remember a whole lot of what's in there. There's, at the very least, one Pixar short that you see some bits of, the Tin Toy.
Hmm.
I don't remember if there's other ones. I think most of it is just kind of generic, but there's also one of like, there's like a single frame of just basically like the bikini lady from the end of Banjo, like, but like with incredibly exaggerated boobs,
Oh, okay.
just for one frame. It's in there.
Excellent.
I of course was super annoyed as a kid by
Video game being
the
inaccurate and the
yeah, because it's,
controller being the SNES controller for a
well, yeah, it shows
3D
the
game.
it shows the SNES and the controller, and it's like a 3D game somehow. Which, I mean, obviously you're seeing like CG that wouldn't have been possible on any system
Mhm.
released at that point. But so you're just, that's just, you kind of just take that for what it is. But the game over is like no 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 no. It's like this crappy little Atari jingle, and Rex is like, I can't possibly press the fire button and jump, and he's like hitting up on the D-pad. I'm like, what the fuck game is, like, how are you pressing up to jump in a game of this style? But um
When is our hobby gonna be taken seriously, huh?
shit, what was the thing about Sega the Hedgehog from
Man, I don't know.
Roseanne? Anyway, um
I forgot about that.
other stupid thing about Rex and the Buzz game, when he has the strategy guide at the store, there is the stupidest fucking gag where like he holds the magazine up in front of the car and like Barbie can't see, and if you pause it, there's a frame where you can see like there's a part at the bottom where, I guess you wouldn't necessarily know this, but most like magazines, at least from that era, would have a price printed on the back that would be in US and Canadian dollars, and the Canadian's always a little bit higher. On this one, it's like US $5, Canada like $75 or something. It's just a stupid little thing no one would ever notice, but
Good.
I love when they do shit like
I
that.
like that. Yeah. Um, I feel like I should have more to say about the Jesse and Stinky Pete stuff. I mean,
And
it's
just the
probably kind
Woody's
of obvious
Roundup
to
in
any.
general.
Yeah, the show is hilariously shitty, as we kind of said
Yeah,
to
the
each other
prospector lit a
during
stick
the
of
movie.
dynamite, thinking it was a candle, and we're all gonna get blown to smithereens. This is all
Uh,
interpreted from an animal going like.
yes.
But,
But well, more specifically, like the theme stuff. I mean, it's probably kind of goes without saying to any like adult watching the movie, but I think it was compelling how you know Jesse. It's through the lens of like toys, who had owners and then were discarded. But it's this idea of like the cliche of like, oh, 'tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, because then you have Stinky Pete, who has never known an owner. He was never bought, and that's why he's so bitter. Is he hasn't been loved before. Whereas
yeah,
Jesse's just hurt, but she is
yeah, she's
she would
afraid of
want
getting hurt again, but is still kind of
exactly
willing to
yeah
take the risk.
exactly yeah. And how Stinky Pete not only is grumpy, but also kind of wants to take everybody down with him to his misery, basically. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very nice. Kind of, I don't know what you call it. Like it was good writing.
Yeah,
Bringing like a more complex theme into this kind of metaphor. Same thing with like the ants from A Bug's Life with like the whole like collective power thing. Like I think this is the real strength of some kind of funny talking animal movie is or something of that nature is you can bring in these themes and
Parallels.
abstract them through parallels in a way that makes it kind of
Yeah, it's
I don't
like,
know. I
on
don't
one
know
hand you have
understandable maybe, but
Madagascar, those animals are so fucking funny. It's like, I don't know if there's any themes in that movie. I think it's just funny
um
talking animal movie.
well we'll see if we end up doing that one.
But
I I did watch that movie as a kid
I
once.
saw it once, it was like fine. Um I do kind of want to actually talk about some of the like lore because it is
Okay.
kind of interesting to think about. So one major thing that's like once you I don't know if this is super obvious, but it's like once you notice it, it's impossible to not think about it. How the hell did Al get all of these more obscure pieces of memorabilia without ever finding a Woody doll? Like
Um,
you'd think that Woody would have been the like most commonly produced toy of the set, and yet
Probably, but I figure it's something like, because the other ones didn't sell as much, there were a bunch just in, like store backlogs basically. Like they just had a bunch of spares and, maybe they were
yeah, it's like the prospector spent a lifetime on a dime store shelf apparently. So I wonder if Al just found him directly. Uh,
yeah.
Jesse was donated to some sort of charity. I don't know what Bullseye's deal was, but it's less so the
And all the
other.
other stuff was like a bunch of, memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's just like I'm trying to imagine how anyone accrues this collection with like this giant cardboard stand up of Woody and the record player and like all this little like the stupid snake in my boot toy. Like, how do you get all of this? But it's because the movie needs to work. It's like you
Yeah.
kind of just have to
No, I
ignore
was
it.
okay with that.
But um, then there's the whole aspect of like I'm kind of curious. Uh, like timeline wise when Jesse and Emily were together. I wonder if that was like shortly after the show aired, so like in the
I
60s or
think it was
whatever.
actually because when you see the flashback of like Emily, getting more into like,
There's like
you know,
disco posters, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she has kind of a disco phase, which that was like 60s, 70s. So,
Yeah,
assuming
so
this movie takes place in the late 90s, which it seems to.
she was
Um,
probably a pretty new toy, and then yeah, just kind of got ditched and donated a few years later.
I assume like when Emily donates her, she's already an adult, right? So it has to have been like a couple
Or at
decades.
least a teenager. I don't know if you see her that clearly, but
Okay.
she's taller and has a purse and stuff.
Well, I'm also make sure she's driving a car. I always forget that teenagers can drive cars.
Oh, was she the
Uh,
one driving, or was she just riding in the
I
car?
figured. I thought she was because there's I don't know something about the way that the scene is framed. It shows the unearthing from underneath the bed to taking her to the car. I feel like that's her. That the implication is supposed to be that she's been under there for who knows how long.
Yeah. Um. So then that brings up the question of what Woody's deal is. Um. And again, this is all just random speculation, and there's no answers to any of these questions. It's not important to the movie, so they probably didn't really think it out.
So you're
But
talking about how
um,
Andy's mom says that he's a family toy.
that is part of it. We never know anything about Andy's dad, so it's not sure. It's unclear if they're just divorced or if he died or something.
Mm.
I always kind of thought that Woody was a hand me down from his dad, and that's why the toy was so important to him. Um,
Probably something like that.
especially knowing that he's from the '60s or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, like how does this kid in the '90s get this old ass toy, and why does he care about it so much? Um, so yeah, there's the scene like you said in the garage sale. His mom says he's an old family toy. It's also just it's weird that Woody doesn't know about the show at all. Um, I guess there's not really any reason that he would have to, but it just makes me wonder if
It begs the question of like where does the context come from? Because Buzz knows his backstory and it's exactly the backstory written on the box. So maybe Woody, maybe his toy was not sold with any kind of accompanying material because the material just was the TV show, and so it was kind
yeah,
of expected you knew what the deal
Cowboy
was.
Crunchies presents.
And so, he's just sold on his own, and so maybe that's how it works. Maybe the toy has to have, the product. They know everything about their product within the lore of the setting that the toy is supposed to come from, or something like that.
God, I just
But
remembered a stupid throwaway line from the first
only
movie
what's on the product.
of
Yeah.
it's like, so where are you from? Singapore, Hong Kong? And Rex is just like, I'm from Mattel. Well, actually, I'm from a different company that was bought out by Mattel in a corporate merger. It's like, he somehow knows all this shit.
Yeah.
Um,
That is
and
weird.
another throwaway line, but in this movie, Woody's like, a record player. I haven't seen one of these in ages. So it's like,
I
I
thought
don't.
about that too.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if maybe, my mom had a record player when I was a kid, and they were already outdated by that point, but she kept it around anyway.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
It's
they just
entirely
have
possible that
one.
Woody remembers being Andy's, dad's toy, whoever it was, but he doesn't know anything about like the actual past, and so he has like I don't know, 30 years of memories or whatever, 35, and so he would remember a record player from that, and I don't know, it's weird because the toys also don't change appearance, so Woody and Buzz look to be a similar age. They both look like adults, just young adults, but
Yeah,
Woody's decades older than Buzz is. Like Buzz is brand new. He's basically newborn.
right.
But then they'll talk about preschool toys as being the equivalent of like children.
I'm pretty sure that's just a stupid little gag, but yeah. Um,
But they're presumably
that's
preschool
another
toys
thing is
forever,
like,
and they don't change.
some toys can't talk, and I'm not really sure why, because they're like the strongman guy from the first movie. He showed up a little bit in this one. I don't think he ever talks. I don't know why he can't. Bullseye is a dog. He's a horse, but he's a dog. Like,
Log.
speaking of dogs, apparently dogs can understand toys, and
Yeah, I wondered about that. I mentioned this while we were watching. I'm like, why can Buster understand what Woody is saying? I do like that they went from the end of the last movie where they're like, "Uh-oh, a dog!" Like, "Oh no, we're in for it." And then at the start of this movie, it kind of seems like, "Oh no, that's the conflict right now is they have to deal with this dog that they don't like," and then, "Oh, actually, they get along perfectly fine."
right,
I don't know. That was a nice kind of twist. I like that. It's not really a twist, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
subversion of expectations. I wonder if when they made the first movie, they expected the dog to be like more of a sequel hook, or it was probably just supposed to be a joke because of the shit they went through with Sid's dog.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I wonder if they had in mind like the potential for the dog to be relevant in a sequel, if they even knew they were making a sequel at the time. I don't know. I guess that's all.
I mean, I think there's probably a couple more things we could talk about, because I also just realized another thing is like, you brought up in the first movie, how Sid is like, he's the villain, but he's not really a bad kid because he doesn't know that the toys are alive. He's not really doing anything wrong. This movie is a little bit more of a gray situation because, like,
I mean, Al's kind of an asshole.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter if the toys are real or not. He stole something that he knew was important to the family.
Right, yeah, that's the thing, is he stole Woody when, he was specifically told that this was an important family toy, so yeah, he is a jackass. So it's like, you could say that he got what he had coming, but on the other hand, it's just like, I almost still kind of feel bad for him because, like, he's been working for years to get this collection together and, has this huge deal coming in, and then it's just, nope.
Doesn't he own the Toy Barn? Like, it's his, right? He's not just a guy that works there. They present the whole chicken suit thing as being, like, embarrassing, but, like, he runs the place. He doesn't have to...
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got some money, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, though, it's just, I'm trying to imagine, you've been working towards this thing, the guy in the Japanese museum finally buys it, you're gonna get all this money, and it's just, the toys escaped, you don't get any of it. Fuck you. And then apparently they had to shoot the next commercial, right as soon as this happened because he's like crying in the commercial. We couldn't possibly. We couldn't just use an old one for a while. We had to shoot this new one.
Right.
So
Yep.
stupid.
Uh,
By the way, lots
like
of.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, lots of collateral damage in this movie.
Yeah,
Just-
I asked like how fucking many traffic accidents have been caused by toys in this universe? Like,
Yeah, just the amount of destruction that the B team causes by crossing the street.
I
Like,
have to assume that other toys in the setting are also going on hijinks adventures just all the time.
yeah, you'd assume so. But yeah, it's just all these cars crashing into each other. Somehow, none of them touch any of these cones. But yeah, it's you've got the 17 car pile up going on, and then it's like it's not bad enough, and then we get the fucking truck with the giant concrete tube, like just knocks over a fucking light post. It's just the whole thing is just fucked, and then. It's like, okay, that whole scene passes, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. And then you think it's over with, and then at the end, they just steal a car.
Oh, that too.
But not only that, they steal a car twice. Did you notice?
Well, because, there's the whole thing, I didn't fully understand this, but there's the thing with, like, the airport transport thing that ends up outside the house opposite of Andy's.
Yeah, it's implied that, after the whole rescue scene where they get Jesse out of the airplane, they just kind of steal like a luggage carrying car from the airport and just drive it to Andy's house and just leave it across the street. Like,
I wasn't sure what the implication was supposed to be with the neighbors, because they're having some kind of conversation. Is the wife being like, "Why is this in our?"
Yeah, they're just outside, and they're like, "What the hell?" Like,
it seemed like they were arguing though.
I didn't think they were, but that's kind of like the stupid shit like that is why I love this movie. There's just so much crap going on. Like,
that's fair. Yeah. So if, there was obviously a video game adaptation of this, does that mean that it counts as a rescue game?
Probably.
Was it smooth like ice? Stupid joke.
A little bit stupid.
The last thing I wanted to say that I actually just remembered because you mentioned Al is the weird focus on just this. I don't know. The scene with Woody getting repaired is like weirdly
satisfying.
I don't know not even that. I was just gonna say like this guy just shows up and kind of steals the focus of the movie for a bit. Like, this old guy. I recognized him from.
Yeah,
I said like, does he play chess in the park? I don't know. I don't even think I've seen that short, but I recognize him from being aware of that vaguely, I guess. He shows up and he has this whole section with like this, this massive close up, this really precise and over exaggerated thing where he's like working on Woody with the music and everything. And I wonder what the inspiration was for that instead of just having like, oh, he gets sewn up quickly. Like,
I don't know. But
it seems very random.
I do like those sequences.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good.
So yeah, his name's Jerry. The short he was from is Jerry's Game. And there is a blink and you miss it moment where he's like opening a bunch of little cabinets and one of them has chess pieces in it. And there's the part where he just says like you can't rush art, and I wonder if that was basically just the animators kind of just they just kind of wanted a moment to show off and just have all this little stuff going on. And I've always heard people say that that's just like a really oddly satisfying scene. And it's a stupid thing to notice, but I always like it when music syncs up to stuff going on, and just the little part where like he's painting over the Andy on the bottom of his foot, and the music like kind of has like this long drawn out note there, and it's like kind of sad. I like that part.
Yeah.
I thought I had something else. I don't remember. It's just like this is another movie I've just seen 1,000 times. I could probably say other stuff about it, but I think those are most of the points I wanted to hit. If you
Yeah.
wanted to, you said there was
I,
only like one comment, really.
yeah. I mean, there were a bunch of comments, but some of them were irrelevant, and some of them were just nothing I need to really respond to. I think.
Yeah.
The only one that actually has like a sentiment to respond to is somebody saying that Ants was the better movie 100%. Uh I'm curious to know why, random commenter. If you want to talk about it, but I don't mind. I feel like I usually hear that Bug's Life was better, but
I've
if
heard people liking Ants better. I don't. I've only seen it once, I think, and it's
we'll probably do
like,
it eventually.
yeah, I do plan on getting to it at some point. Maybe I'll like it better the second time. All I remember is it just kind of has that, like, early mean spirited DreamWorks edge of, like, this isn't your kid's Disney movie. Like, it's. I don't
Right.
know if it's necessarily raunchy, but, it skirts the line a little bit. It
Yeah.
has the scary scene with the termites. It's like the problem with A Bug's Life is it's almost like it is a little generic and it's almost too cutesy at times, but I think it's still a good movie. Like,
Yeah. Um I guess that's actually it this time.
yeah, I'm gonna remember the other thing I wanted to say later, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's
So,
there's more stuff I could say like, oh, what's with the uh you know if Woody had like a completely new replacement arm, would that have, melded and become part of his body? How does it, what constitutes a toy's form? What constitutes a toy period? Because
I mean, fucking Forky
I
explores
was I was
that,
thinking about that. Because yeah, I don't know anything about the fourth movie, but I've seen the character, and it does beg the question of what the fuck is that? Is it just a thing a kid made? And
yeah.
I guess that's kind of interesting. Um,
And of course, Potato Head can see things through his eye when it's not connected to him and
right,
stuff like that. But yet he takes
like
his ears out when he doesn't want to hear Rex rambling about the game.
yeah.
I'm
Suspicious.
I'm onto your tricks, Pixar.
Yeah. There was that part where Bullseye is licking Al's Cheeto fingers, and
God,
I'm
I
like,
fucking
I
hate
wonder if
that
he
scene so
has like,
much. It's so gross.
it's pretty bad.
That's the other thing
I, I
is
have to, I have to wonder if Al is the origin. I asked you this, and you said you didn't know. I wonder if he's the origin of the stereotypical image of, you know, the Cheeto dust fingered, uh, neckbeard, like obsessed loser kind of caricature that, has been around for forever. And I feel like it has to have had an origin somewhere.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about like a specific meme image or like a Wojak type of
No, no,
thing or?
I just mean like
Okay.
I don't know. You always see people talking about like losers online with their Dorito dust fingers and
Yeah, I guess.
like stuff like that.
But I said we were going to be done, but I did just remember. I said before we watched the movie how there was a lot more crude humor in this one, and let me
Those are
see if
good
I can
ones.
remember all of them. There's Al burping in his face. There's a burp and a fart during the outtakes. There's um Ham and Bullseye both having a like cover their crotch moment. Um there's Buzz's wings popping out when he's turned on by Jesse.
Yeah.
Um there's probably a few other ones I'm forgetting. I would include the like to me Bullseye licking Al's fingers is like the fucking worst thing I've ever seen. Like it's not really, but I've always hated the cheese dust fingers. Like I don't know how people can stand that shit. Like when I eat Cheetos or Doritos or anything similar to that, I hold them so gingerly because I don't want to have that get on my hands. And like, sometimes I won't even pick them up. Like if I have a little individual bag of Cheetos, I'll usually just kind of like put my mouth around the opening and shake a couple in because I don't want to touch them. Like, and so like the thing that makes it worse is when people do that and then they lick their fingers and then they grab more and now you've got the fucking cheese stuck to the spit on your fingers. I'm like, that is
But if they're
fucking
not
vile.
sharing, what's the problem?
It's gross. I can't deal with it. I don't know. It's just a weird hang-up of mine. But I did remember a couple other random things here. Because in the copy we watched, when Buzz is doing his, like, we have a friend in need and we will not rest until he's safe back in Andy's room. Normally there's like an American flag waving behind him, and then it cuts to the TV in Al's apartment, doing like the weird sign off, which always confused me because that was back before TV was 24/7. They apparently, like, that was before I was alive. They used to do this where, like, TV would just be over at like 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever, and they would always do that little closing thing with like the national anthem, and it's like, that concludes this broadcast day, and it just goes to static. And so they showed that, and I'm wondering if that was just like part of one of the Woody's Roundup tapes. Like, did he just have that on while he was not eating his giant bowl of Cheetos that he then spilled? Like, I don't know. But anyway, in other versions of the movie that are not specifically the American one, they changed that to just a spinning globe, which is fine. I don't know. I noticed it because
it didn't need to be changed, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, they changed it. I noticed it in this one. That was basically it. And one of the deleted scenes that we saw was actually then deleted later on in, I think, some of the like live streaming versions of the movie.
Oh no, it's scary.
Because there's the one where Stinky Pete has the 2 Barbies in his box and he's like schmoozing them.
And, yeah,
apparently they deleted that one because it was just kind of seen as too inappropriate, because he's basically just like, I can totally get you a role for Toy Story 3, and he's like, it's kind of
lecherous, yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess because of all the crap that's been going on, or like, I don't know if there's necessarily more stuff going on now, or if it's just people are more aware of it happening, of that whole concept of being prolific. Yeah, they're probably like, maybe let's not have this. I don't remember who the Prospector's voice actor is, or if he's like, somebody who would be involved in that type of shit.
I looked it up. So somebody called Kelsey Grammer who played Frasier.
Okay, I know the name at least. I don't know if he's ever been involved in that kind of stuff, but
I don't know if he's done. I mean, let's see. It's like, oh, let me read.
Yeah, let's see if people are bad. I know that is it Hopper? I think Hopper is Kevin Spacey. I know he's done some shit. I don't remember what, but I don't keep track of that type of stuff. I don't care about
just skimming it. It doesn't seem like there was any like major thing, but big names have always got some skeletons in their closet. Right. There's a couple of legal issues. Who fucking cares? I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah. Anyway, we're actually going on 50 minutes here, so I guess we should wrap it up.
We're still probably not done because you're gonna remember something else.
No, I think that was it. But
all right.
Yeah, we'll stick with Pixar for the time being. Monsters, Inc., one of my favorite movies.
Looking forward to that one. I haven't seen it.
I'm very excited for you to see it because that one is really good. I assume we'll probably do Nemo, and then we might switch to other things, depending on how you feel.
We'll see. Because Nemo I actually have seen, but it was a very long time ago. That's the start of when I started actually seeing the movies.
Okay.
So I feel like there's more of a cutoff, at least to me, between Monsters Inc. and Nemo.
Okay. Maybe we'll cut off that then.
We'll see.
Anyway, Barbados Slim.
Bye.